brick speeds. Gonna compete, look at me, defeat the natural monster inside of me. Love in abundance, but never a feed. They stacking up hundreds, I be on a spree with a lead. Don't like me, gentlemen breed me familiar. I be defending hard in the street. I pack the boulevard, you are not a part. I'm made out of stars, constellations. Got them looking up at bars, steady, patient, constantly racing. Family that I find amazing. You were there from the beginning's end. Stuck to the product, that's my first attempt. Put it down, let's change the town from a town that it never snowed in. Pour it in, this potent, soaked in a flow that never be conforming. Captain the boat that be getting through storms and positive flow, keep that important. Expo flows out there recording. Experts know that I can only feel the gang clean to cannoli. Feel the pain, Manolo after Tony. Bring the sound, boy, call me Sony. PlayStation, this life is here for me. Bandicoot when I crash and beat my family. What keep the heart beating, blood pumping out on go weak. Trendsetter, let a whole fleet. But the family worry cause I never sleep. On the ball like spaghetti, we all about to eat. Let's go. My family, all I need is my family. 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 My family, all I need is my family.
Yeah. Welcome everyone, 8-9 to 4. 8-9 to 4. Right on. What up, Boosh? www.beesh.com. Go check it out to find out how much of a beesh you are. Beesh. Fire. Alright, here we go, fam. Let's crush it. 8-9 to 4. Pow pow.
A fitness without the bullshit.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Ho ho. Testing, testing, ickles. Ooh. Welcome everyone to episode 894 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gaincast, mancast, pimpcast, sleazecast, slaycast, taintcast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Welcome, fuckers, to episode 894 of the Daily Sleaze. Welcome, everyone. If it's your first time joining, make sure you drop some comments, some comentarios. Say, what the fuck is up, Papa Swolio? And I will likely say, what the fuck is up right back. Welcome to Hump Day. We are going to talk about the glutes today. We'll talk about glute activation. So if you have questions, aka questiones, drop some peaches in the comments. Those of you that follow me on Instagram, we got some good stuff going on in the stories. Make sure you are following me on Instagram, especially if you're a Facebook junkie, download it. Check it out, because Instagram stories, my Instagram stories, gives you like the play-by-play, what's coming up next, what's coming up tomorrow, cool things. I just posted about the shirts. A lot of you are like, oh shit, he's wearing a shirt today. Check this out. If you haven't checked out swolenormousapparel.com, check out this. I flex, you flex, we all flex biceps. A little wrinkly, but got tanks, got shirts. So ladies, dudes, check it out. I'm wearing clothes. I'm wearing my I flex, you flex, we all flex our bicep shirt. So check it out. swolenormousapparel.com. You could also go to swolenormousx.com. You click on apparel in the main menu, but go check it out. That's where all my shirts are. Everyone's always asking me, where do you get your shirts? Where are your shirts at? They're there. They are there. So you go check it out. And, men's, women's, many shirts, many different types of shirts. So they're this one. You got the Kegels. You got my logo. You can get a mug. You can get stickers. You can get Abraham Lincoln, Swolker tees. You can find, and there's more coming. I have a couple more designs that are coming out. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll be posting and stuff about it, but you can go check it out there, swolenormousapparel.com. All right, just ordered the sweatshirt. Nice. Yeah, the hoodies are perfect for this time of year, the Swole Enormous hoodie. It's super comfortable. I would wear the hoodie every fucking day. I would literally wear the hoodie every fucking day, but I'm in South Florida and it's hot as shit every day. and I can't wear it on the show because I'm already sweating. It's a little bit cool. I don't know. I felt like wearing it today. I felt like wearing one of my tanks today. I got a Swole tank. I got a Chesticles tank. Got a Chesticles. Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. SwoleNormousApparel.com. Cool. That being said, let's jump right into 894. So if you are living under a rock and you don't like making gains, if you're living under a rock and you don't like making gains, then you probably did not listen to episode 893. But because most of you probably aren't living under a rock and you do enjoy making gains, you probably listened to 893. And yesterday was really about maximizing leg growth. Leg growth, maximizing leg gains. But of course, I didn't get detailed about reps. I'm literally just laid the knowledge cock on your chin and just dragged it slowly while whispering into your ear, you're not going hard enough. You're not going hard enough, which is usually the case with leg training. If you struggle with your leg training, actually right now, drop it in the comments. Let's take a lot of questions today. I want to talk about glute activation. And if you have any questions about why you're not feeling it in your ass, there's too many jokes. There's too many jokes when you talk about the booty. But most of you, or many of you, and I know this for a fact because I get the messages. I get the messages in my DM. I get you sliding up into my EM talking about your glutes. I get that. And of course, I get the occasional dick pic, unfortunately. I get those too. Everyone slides up in the DM. And of course, I got to be the good businessman and be like, I'm going to answer every single comment. I'm going to check out everything. I'm going to respond to each person. And then I just see like someone stroking his dick. It's like, why? Why? Girls don't do that. Girls don't just send puss shots. Guys send dick pics. And to me, like, why do I want to see that shit? Anyway, that being said, we're straying a little bit. Can you tell what my life is like? Who knows? A lot of you are doing legs and you're not feeling it in your butt. You're getting it in your hamstrings, you're getting it in your quads, right? You're quad dominant, or you're just not activating your hip extensors, not getting those glutes the way they should be. And when you do squats, you should be feeling it in the glutes. When you're doing deadlifts, like when you're doing these exercises, it doesn't mean that you're only working your glutes. And I'm going to explain, because today we're talking about activation, which works with this perfectly, because activation is exactly that. You're isolating the muscles in order to activate them. And I'll explain why it's important to activate them before we get into all those details. But a lot of you aren't feeling it in your glutes. And the reason why is because it's a multi-joint movement. When you're doing a squat, when you're doing a deadlift, when you're doing a lunge, when you're doing a leg press, all these exercises, and whenever you're doing an exercise, I want you to think, what's moving? What is articulating? What is articulating? What is the point of action? Is the movement only happening at the shoulder? Is it only happening at the elbow? Is it happening at both? Is it only happening at the knee? Is it only happening at the ankle? Is it happening at both? Is it happening with the hips? Is it happening at all three? You have to step back and look at the exercise and see what is moving, because the only way muscles work is when they cross a joint. That's the purpose of a muscle. Very few don't abide by this principle, if any, but muscles attached to bone with tendons, and they all cross a joint, meaning they cross an interaction between two bones. And bones are separated with those fatty pads like the meniscus, or they're attached by ligaments. Bones are attached by ligaments to one another. And you have all these other little bursas and, cartilage and things that allow the bones to move smoothly. And of course, a lot of you know this, when you lose cartilage and you lose those nice lubrication things that the body so nicely provides us, when you lose that, you get that scraping, you get crunching, you get discomfort, you get pain. You've heard the term bone on bone when you don't have any more cartilage and stuff like that. So all those types of tissues either don't come back well, if at all, and they get poor blood flow. That's why ligaments take a long time to heal. A lot of times you get like scar tissue and build up. Things like tendons heal faster than ligaments. They get more blood flow, and muscles repair faster than the previous two. Just because you get more blood flow, there's more capillaries, you get more of the medics, the cellular medics that help repair and rebuild this tissue. So you have to think about what is working, right? What joint is working? What joint is articulating during the movement. So let's take the basic. We're talking Peach. Let's just start talking this whole subject about activation, isolation. Let's talk about the squat first. Everyone knows a squat. Whether you can squat, whether you can't squat, you are aware of what a squat is. I don't think anyone here doesn't know what a squat is. If you took a shit today or yesterday, hopefully you took one either today or yesterday. If you're going 2 days without taking a poop, you got to start watching some of my nutrition episodes. You got work to do, literally. The squat is a multi-joint movement. And we're going to talk about the ones that are moving, and that's going to be 3 primary joints. That's going to be the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So we call that a compound exercise because it's moving multiple joints, or a multi-joint exercise. Let's just say that. A multi-joint exercise. You're using more than one joint. Ooh, multi-joint, fancy words. More than one. It's not a single joint. It's a multi-joint. It's more than one. So you're going to have the importance of the movement that needs to be cleared and need to have range of motion at the ankle, at the knee, and at the hip. And when you have things around each of those joints that is not aligned properly, that's not moving the way it should be because of repetitive movement patterns during your day, using footwear, wearing high heels, sitting down a lot, when you keep these joints in strict positions, or you perform a series of movements repetitiously throughout the day, maybe you're sitting down, even though you're not moving, your knee being bent from sitting down is a repetitious movement, quote unquote. It's a lack of movement, but it's a repetitious position. If you are, stocking shelves, you're reaching up overhead all the time, then you're reaching up over the head all the time, and you're going to get certain imbalances and certain overdevelopment with the areas and the muscles that will perform that movement. So it's important to have balance, and you're not going to have balance in your body unless you are working the muscles evenly. Is everyone with me so far? When you're in the gym and you're providing overload, or you're putting overload on the body, you are challenging the body to overcome that overload. So essentially you have an external force on the body. Let's say it's a 20-pound dumbbell. That's an external force. You as the human body, the muscles and everything, need to produce internal tension to overcome that external force. So you're producing tension inside the muscle that's going to surpass the external force, and then because you're producing more tension than the external force, you're going to create movement, right? You're lifting the weight, right? You're pushing up overhead, you're doing a curl, you're pushing the bar up for a bench press. So that's because your internal tension has overcome that. When it can't, you either can't lift the weight, or you struggle and you fail at the rep. So that's when the weight's too heavy, or you're fatigued, and all those other factors. So in order to think of the squat appropriately for what we're trying to discuss, you have many things at work. You have to address the issues that could potentially exist at the ankle. You have issues that could potentially exist at the knee, and you have potential issues at the hip. And the way we live our lives, it's very common to have all 3. And usually the knee, and issues at the knee, and many people have issues with the knee. It doesn't, in my experience, it rarely starts at the knee. And the reason why is because most of the joints, I shouldn't say, I scratch that, most of the muscles, not the joints, the muscles that cross the knee are crossing multiple joints, or they're acting on a different joint as well. They're multi-joint exercises. For example, the hamstrings cross the hip. In most cases, they cross the hip and the knee. The quad, for example, the rectus femoris crosses the hip and the knee. The other ones don't cross the hip, they only cross the knee. Then you have the calves, right? You have the gastrocnemius, which crosses the ankle joint and the knee. So the reason why a lot of people have issues with the knee, it's because of the hip and the ankle. And when you have a problem at the bottom, it can translate up the body. And when you have a problem in the middle or at the top, it can translate down. Because when there's an imbalance anywhere, your body is like Jenga. Your body is going to readjust, realign itself to keep as much stress off the body as possible. And your body will keep on adapting and doing the best it can at this until it can't anymore. And then you have an injury, or it just breaks down, something pops or whatever, right? Your body is going to adapt into the last possible moment. That's what your body does. So knowing what we know now, it's no shock that people have knee problems often, right? You're sitting down all the time, you're in hip flexion all the time, or you're wearing heels all the time. So your ankles are in constant plantar flexion. Your calves get very, very tight. So you're tightening up muscles that cross the knee joint and you're producing a lot of tension all the time because of these repetitive positions from sitting down too much and from wearing high-heeled shoes. And when I say high-heeled shoes, I'm not just talking to you ladies. I'm not just talking about high heels. I'm talking about any kind of sneaker with an elevated heel. Most of you have seen my posts and my content because I'm always wearing my Vibrams. I'm always barefoot at home or I'm wearing my Vibrams outside. If I ever wear my Chucks or my Converse, right, I feel very uncomfortable. It's very weird for me to wear shoes. I like my Vibrams. So those are my barefoot, like slipper shoes, the toe shoes. And I wear the most minimal ones that they make in order so I can feel completely barefoot. And it really feels like I'm wearing nothing. And that allows my foot to get strong. It allows the muscles to balance properly around the foot. It allows my musculature, my ligaments, my bones to strengthen, and also does not put my ankle in a weird position so it doesn't translate up my knee and my spine. Because once you have an elevated heel position, then all of a sudden you're going to have an anterior tilt in the pelvis. You're going to have a lower back arch. Girls like that. That's why heels make a girl's butt look good, because you're elevating the heels, your hips tilt forward, it pops the butt out. However, it's not your butt that's bigger, it's your lower back arch, it's your lordotic curve, and people commonly have lower back problems. I think almost everyone in the country, I think it's like 90% or more, have lower back problems at least once in their life. Most people have had lower back injury, and that's usually because it stems in some way from having an imbalance at the ankle and at the hip. And it puts a lot of pressure on the lower back. And a lot of you are having issues activating your glutes, getting into, and that's like the preview or the preface for this. If you're having issues activating the glutes, it's during these exercises. If you're doing squats, you're doing lunges, you don't feel it in the glutes. It's because when your body has an imbalance like this, just to keep it very, very understandable, when your body has imbalances, it doesn't fire the muscles properly as it should. So when your body should be using the glutes to extend the hip and to pull the femur back from coming out of a squat, from controlling those movements, because of these imbalances from sitting down too much, from wearing improper footwear period, from wearing shoes and heels and things like that, the body has an impaired situation. And because of that impairment, it doesn't signal the glutes properly. So how do we fix that? How do we signal the glutes properly? We have to activate them. So because we've figured out, let's say to this point, that because of these imbalances, we are unable to do a squat effectively and hit the muscles we're trying to. We're unable to do a lunge, and we're not activating the glutes. We're not feeling the development. We're not getting the muscle development. We're not feeling the burn. We're not getting it where we need to. So we can't be doing these multi-joint exercises. Our body is not mapping properly. Our body is not triggering the muscles that should be triggered. So pretty much we got to take the glutes and the brain, we got to take the neuromuscular system back to kindergarten. Think about it that way. We have to go back to the basics. Instead of assuming and putting the pressure on the body to work the glutes and work that in cahoots with all these other muscles in sync, right? To have that intermuscular coordination, which is obviously not there, we need to work them by themselves. We need to remind the brain that the glutes need to fire. Think about it this way as well. It's as if the brain has forgotten the glutes phone number. So you are going to remind the brain of the glutes phone number. The brain has lost communication, or proper or optimal is a great word for it. The brain has lost optimal communication pathways with the glutes. So you just got to remind it. And how do you remind it? Well, there's certain exercises that will activate the glutes more. In other words, movements that pretty much only use the articulation around the hips, the side of the hips, the gluteus medius, the gluteus maximus. You're really isolating the movements to only the hips, not the knees, not the ankles, like a squat. You're not doing a multi-joint movement. You've seen exercises, and you can look these up. Those of you that are in Swolenormous X, my membership programming site, you have access to all these exercises, but you can Google these as well. The lateral tube walking. I've talked about this a lot. I've posted videos on this. Lateral tube walking is excellent for activating the gluteus medius. You can also do supine hip bridges, 2-leg or 1-leg. You can do core activation exercises like a prone iso-ab, also known as a plank. And planks, when done properly, are great for glute activation, but you have to do them properly. You can't have your butt high. You have to have a posterior pelvic tilt. There's certain positions in which you have to realign the body, because remember, your brain doesn't have the right software to run this program, so to speak. Your body, your brain does not know which muscles need to be firing. So you're essentially teaching your body how to ride a bike. You're teaching your body the coordination again. You're teaching your brain to have the coordination. And that's what coordination is. It's the brain, it's the nervous system triggering the right muscles at the right time with the right frequency and the right strength and the right tension. It's your brain controlling the muscles that need to be controlled during a movement. So when you do something new that takes a lot of coordination, like a balance exercise or an activation exercise, you're going to get very shaky. You're going to feel imbalanced and stuff. How many of you have just started doing yoga recently? Or how many of you have, or remember when you first started doing yoga? You're shaking, right? You're shaking a lot. You're wobbling all over the place. Chances are you're falling over a lot, which is completely normal. But those shakes, the vibration when you're on one leg or you're doing, and you feel, and you just can't lock it down, that's the coordination. Your body is getting better. And the more you do it, the better your body will get. And eventually you're not balancing anymore. You're not shaking, just like riding a bike. You're not shaking after a while. It just becomes second nature. But that's when your body has gotten that coordination down and has synchronized all the muscles firing at the right times, the stabilizers and so forth. So supine hip bridges, properly done planks with the glute, with a core activation. You can do the lateral tube walking. You can do things like kickbacks and ankle weights and things like that, but the supine hip bridge is one of the best exercises. And that it has to be done properly. Whenever you're doing these isolation exercises are going to activate. And whenever you're doing that, there's no room for error. Remember, this is the coordination. And most people that you'll see on Instagram, that's why you have to be very, very careful when you're Googling shit and you're just watching people do balance stuff on Instagram. I see so many people doing stuff with the Bosu ball, doing stabilization shit, and they're doing it terribly. Any type of stabilization should be done very slow. If you're doing it fast, you're using momentum and you're not using the equipment for the purpose. If you're doing any kind of stabilization, you're moving fast, it's pretty much a waste of time. You're not working the muscles that you should be working for the purpose of doing stabilization exercise. That's the whole purpose of doing stabilization training, is to fire the muscles that are stabilizing. And when you're moving at a fast rate and producing a lot of force and speed and velocity, you're not activating those stabilizers. Those don't turn on in the same manner as fast twitch fibers. You're going to need to, and those smaller muscles are going to fire during time under tension, lower intensity, slower movement, higher repetition, more endurance type training, and you'll feel a big difference. When you do something on one leg and you're moving fast, it's going to seem a lot easier, but then all of a sudden you slow it down, go really slow, and all of a sudden your legs start shaking and wobbling, like when you're on a Bosu ball or when you try one of those things. When you go really slow, all of a sudden you feel wobbly and shaky because you're working different muscles. You're working the body differently and the way you're supposed to when you do that kind of training. So that being said, activating the glutes needs to come before strength training. This is why a lot of people get hurt. This is why you may be getting hurt. This is why people don't have good looking physiques, because they don't balance their body out. And everyone's going to look different. Everyone's going to have different muscle bellies. Everyone's going to look differently. Everyone's going to have different shaped biceps, quads, everything like that. But a lot of people are very imbalanced because they're not triggering. They're not firing the muscles that should be firing when they work their legs. They're not focusing on glute activation. They're not balancing out their posture. They're not creating that balance systemically with the body. They're not doing these activation exercises. They're not addressing these issues. And these are the things that are not glamorous. This is the stuff that isn't sexy in the gym. This is the stuff that doesn't really sell well. Okay? The reason why a lot of this information sounds new or, oh shit, I didn't know that, is because there's no supplement that you can buy over the counter that just gives you this stuff. There's no exciting training method that triggers this shit. There's no exciting training that does mobility. It's not exciting. It's not exciting. It's not fun. It's not entertainment. It's slow. There's no weight. So the ego goes right out the window. If you're all about heavy fucking weight, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is for fucking pussies. And you're not going to do it. A lot of people need hyperstimulation because they're always on their phone and watching TV, and they constantly, rape their eyes with all this stimulation. So if it's slow moving, all of a sudden, oh, I can't handle that. But this is why people get hurt, because you're not activating the muscles properly. Think about driving a car with 3 wheels, or trying to drive a car without an axle or without an engine. It won't work that well. All right. It won't work, or you're going to crash and go right off the fucking road. That's the same way your body is working when you're doing a squat without proper glute activation. If your glutes are not working, you're essentially driving a car with 3 tires. You're missing a major piece of the puzzle, and you're putting tension on the body. And where does that tension usually fall? It's going to come on the knees or the back. Knees or back usually are the ones that suffer from that. Knees and back are usually what suffers from having poor glute activation, because when you have poor glute activation, you don't have stability in the hip. If you're not activating your glutes properly, you're not stabilizing the hips properly. And if the hips are not stabilized, you're going to get a lot of that anterior tilt, that anterior shifting of the pelvis. And the way you can visualize this, and don't do this if you're driving, but if you're listening, you close your eyes and imagine your hips are a bucket of water. And if you pour water out the front of that bucket, that's an anterior tilt, and you'll feel your lower back arching in order to angle your hips forward. A posterior tilt is as if you were trying to pour water out the back part of the bucket. So imagine, and you're sucking your stomach in, and you're almost kind of rounding your lower back. That is a posterior pelvic tilt. And you want to maintain that posterior pelvic tilt position and draw the navel in to activate all those core and the pelvic floor muscles while you're doing these core activation exercises, while you're doing your lateral tube walking, while you are doing your supine hip bridge, while you are doing your planks, while you're doing your single leg squat and your single leg RDL. These exercises, these activation exercises need to be, funneled into that kind of rebalancing type training. So you almost like over exaggerate that posterior tilt in order to activate the muscles properly. You're trying to wake them up. You're trying to wake them up from a deep slumber like Sleeping Beauty. You're shaking like, fucking wake up, bitch. That's what you're doing with the glutes, and you have to wake them up. You have to wake them up. So if you want to fire those muscles, you have to do it slowly, higher repetition, more time under tension, and you have to work them in all planes of motion. So you need to be doing the lateral tube walking. You should be doing the supine hip bridge. And you could do these daily, a couple times a week. Do them before your leg day, your leg workout. And if you practice your yoga, you will improve your ankle mobility. You will improve your hip and your knee mobility. You're going to improve all aspects of your static and dynamic posture. And that's why yoga practice is so important. That's why it's so important, because of what it allows you to do with strength training. And of course, it's amazing what it does psychologically too. I mean, it's amazing for many reasons, but it's really amazing for what it allows you to do strength-wise and with your resistance training. So for any dudes that are listening, I mean, women too, everyone gets so hung up on the weights. Everyone gets so hung up on this high intensity. And high intensity training and this jumping around and burpees and shit, it's popular now. But long term, it's going to fuck people up. And in 20, 30 years, when yoga and meditation is like the rage, like the absolute rage, and that's the fucking thing, because it's the only thing balancing human beings out from this machine, artificial intelligence, organized world. And meditation is going to be big, as huge, huge. That's why I push it so hard. Yoga is going to be huge. It's going to be all this aspect of repairing the damage people are doing now. Once everyone learns more that, oh, we shouldn't just beat the body into the fucking ground all the time. Like it doesn't keep you young. It beats the fuck up out of you. Okay, it'll keep you stronger for longer, and you might have more muscles for longer, but you're beating the shit out of your fucking body. And most people aren't doing it with any kind of balance. They're just beating it up, And those are the people that, guess what? They look beat to shit when they're older because they don't take care of themselves. Just because your body can recover in the short term doesn't mean long term you're going to look all healthy and young and feel great. You're going to have a lot of joint pain, a lot of damage, and a lot of fucking, shit wears out. Your body wears out. That's literally what it's designed to do. Like you just slowly die. You just slowly die. So it's important to make sure that you're doing these things properly, and you want to do these glute activation exercises before you have problems. Don't wait until you're not feeling it in your glutes. Don't wait until you're hit a plateau. Don't wait until you have lower back pain. Do it now. Do it now. And I'm telling you, it's not going to be glamorous. It's not going to be fun. It's not entertaining, but it's necessary and it works. And I'm not sitting here I'm not sitting here every day blowing smoke up your ass just for shits and giggles. Like, I'm telling you this, and the reason why I do this podcast is to deliver this type of information for some people that I think need to hear it. And if you listen to this and you go on your merry way, like, you're missing out. This is amazing information that no one is going to tell you. It's not exciting to talk about. It's not easy to explain. So most people don't understand it well enough to be able to explain it simply enough. It doesn't sell from personal trainers. Personal trainers, if they know this, if they even know this, and 99% of trainers don't know this. So everyone that's like, oh, my trainer never talked about this, because most people don't fucking know. Most people are not well educated in how the body actually works. And most people don't know what the most important things to focus on because they haven't been doing it long enough. So when you're watching, that little biddy on Instagram that has a peach building program and she's 20 years old, she has no fucking idea what she's talking about when it comes to fitness and training. You need perspective in a lot of these things. You need perspective when it comes to your fitness. You need to see where this actually goes and where this heads. And if you're not thinking about the future, don't worry. Don't worry. It's coming anyway. That's the thing. The future doesn't give a fuck. The future doesn't care if you're thinking about it or not. The future doesn't care if you want to go out drinking, if you don't want to do these exercises, if you don't want to activate the glutes. Future doesn't care. It's going to be there whether you like it or not. Are you preparing for it? And it's not going to always be fun. It's not always going to be exciting, but it's very simple. It doesn't take a lot of time. A lot of effort, and it's going to make everything so much better. So it's not like I'm telling you to do this boring, miserable type training. I'm telling you to do a few basic exercises, do 10, 15 reps, a couple sets, a few times a week. Do it before you do your leg day and your leg workouts. Practice yoga. You just start implementing this into your training. And it's very simple. And if you don't know where to start and you still don't have any clue, that's why I created Swolenormous X. That's why I created my training platform, because a lot of people hear everything I talk about with meditation and yoga and stabilization, activation, like, what the fuck, where do I start? That's why I created that. That's why I have my website where I have everything, where it's all laid out. So you don't have to go looking for it, but it's all available online. You can look up any of this. You can Google anything. So there's really no excuse not to start. Either you sign up with my thing or you go Google stuff on Google. Go look for it. It's all there. I'm not making shit up. I'm just laying it out for you. This is the stuff that you're going to regret not doing if you don't do it. Activation of the glutes not only is going to make your training more effective, it's going to prevent injury. Not all injuries. You can't prevent everything, but it's going to drastically reduce your risk because you're putting your body in a better position to execute exercises under stress. So when you load up 100, 200, 300 plus pounds, you're in a better position to succeed and to stabilize the body and to protect the body and to execute the exercise. Why voluntarily, why knowingly put your body at a greater risk? It's not smart. It's not smart because once you get hurt, you have to deal with that injury. You have to deal with coming back from that. It's not easy. It's not easy. So get ahead of the curve. Get ahead of the curve and focus on your glute activation. So if there's any questions, you could drop them in the comments below. I really appreciate everyone watching and listening. Remember, if you're not yet subscribed to the podcast, go to swolenormousx.com and click on podcast in the main menu and choose your app and go subscribe, follow, wherever app you're doing. If it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify, the Daily Swole podcast is available absolutely everywhere. If you're interested in learning more about the programming and nutrition, yoga classes, all that content that I provide, you can go check out swolenormousx.com. Just swolenormous and then the letter x.com. Links are in my bio description pretty frequently, and it's also here on the screen if you're watching live. It's on my Facebook page in the post description everywhere. And make sure you plug in Facebook, Instagram, main platforms, post on YouTube, but Instagram, if you're not following me at Swolenormous, make sure you do that, because I'm always giving updates and really the play-by-play kind of vlog style in my IG stories. So make sure you go check me out there. We do some fun polls, and I post all the updates when podcasts go live, when new videos are released, and special offers and stuff like that. All my Instagram story, I have some stuff about Swolenormous apparel in there as well, so you go check that out. And I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 895. We will do more leg content tomorrow. We'll get more into some leg-ish, and we'll get a little bit more tactical in the next couple episodes. But I want to talk about legs all fucking week. So we'll get into some more details. I'll give you an update on what that topic's going to be on Instagram stories. But tomorrow, H95 for the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and Glutecast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps, and the shirt proves it. I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps shirts. Remember, go check out swolenormousapparel.com. Everyone's shocked because I'm wearing a shirt today. I felt like it. I felt like I'm in the mood. But go check out Swolenormous Apparel if you want to cop some Swole gear. I got all my stuff there, all the shit that I wear in my videos and logos and stuff like that. So go check it out. And I'll see you tomorrow for 895. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce, Magoose. Ya boy, Papa Swolio. Out.